Good morning and welcome to another episode of Southern Boy Farm. So I've been promising to get you some footage of what I've got growing, and finally this morning I've decided let's just get it done. All right, so I'm here on the side of the house, and this is the west side of the house, and the first thing that I've got here is a Barbados cherry tree. Now this tree here I got from Lowe's. You can tell when you spend quite a bit of money in some place, because when you walk in, the people remember you and want you to buy some more. And I went in there and the clerk immediately said, "Hey chef, how you doing today? Well, I just want you to know that we've got some sales going on, but the biggest one is that all of the trees on the back row there are 75% off." And at 75% off, hearing that, I lost my mind. So this was one of the ones that we got when we bought it. It actually had some cherries on it, and we quickly ate all of those. And now if you look, it's got some more blooms. I mean, we bought this back in, I believe, June, and this is the third set of blooms that it's putting out. Some nice big reddish fruit that kind of resemble cherries, but it is like a super citrus, and everybody's died to have it. So then we come to the mulberry tree, and when I got it, it was really small, probably down to here in height, and now it's come up really nicely. I don't want to put a lot of this stuff in the ground because I'm running out of space, and what if I need to move them? There's the morning walk of the birds down the street searching for stuff to go and eat. So come around here to the front, and this was just the regular plants that I had put out before. Give it on up with no problem at all. So also in that Lowe's find, I also came across this Meyer lemon tree, and we put that into the ground, and it's doing well, coming up quite nicely. And those rose bushes I got back there, they need to be August pruned, but they also came up from down in Homestead, and it was pretty cheap. So didn't get the papaya tree from Homestead, but I found this one. Oh, I can't remember if it was Lowe's or if it was Home Depot. I think it was Lowe's, because Lowe's always has that clearance rack that you can get stuff from. And so I went up in there and got that. This colocasia that I got from down there in the Redlands, it over a year ago, it was just a little small plant, and now this Maine, which was like $10, has now put out this one in front of it. There's another little one down here on the side that's trying to come up, and the last time I cut the grass, I noticed this blade coming up. So from all of this, I have benefited from multiple plants that derive, and so that's the benefit of a lot of this, is you get one and it goes from there. Now I said in my head, Kelvin, you're not a big fan of figs. There's no need to go buying a bunch of figs, and everybody's doing figs. But the Lowe's sale had this fig there. This is so that I don't say it wrong, this is the brown turkey fig. And I've already had people say, oh, you're supposed to trim the bottom and it grows out to be a tree. I don't want it to be a tree. Because it's here in the driveway and the size that figs can get to, and the fact that I don't have to cut down, I decided to do it as a bush, and it's doing exactly what it needs to do in order for me to have it as a bush. So these are the last few figs from this time around, and now it's starting to drop its leaves, and that will go well, because a lot of this stuff I had no idea about. But when you walk in and you get to a sales desk, and all of a sudden your $300 order now comes out to be just under $100 after you bought some stuff that didn't go with the 75% off sale, you tend to want to just go ahead and find somewhere to put it. Don't matter where, just put it somewhere. So come back here on this side, and excuse my neighbor's AC. We just can't live down here without AC. You wake up in the morning and it's already 80 degrees. So I'm cleaning up on this side of the house because this is where a lot of the other new stuff is going to go. But here I've got 1, 2 baby, they call it Jaboticaba. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it, Jaboticaba. I'm going to stick with that. That's what I'm going with. So this one is commonly known as the Brazilian grape tree. And the grapes grow right on the skin, kind of like how the mamey fruit does, and it's quite good. They had one there at the nursery that was already fruiting, and that's how they get you. They allow you to go ahead and grab the fruit and eat it, and now you want to buy it. So these weren't some of the cheapest purchases there, but each tree was only $60 each. So I found that to be a really big find and wanted to go with it. So we're also in what I call second spring, and I have started planting again. And in this bucket here, August here in South Florida, for me, I can go ahead and start regrowing almost everything that I started growing in the beginning of the year in April, which is like normal spring for many people. But what I'm going to do now is right here in the south facing area of the yard, I'm going to put this 5-gallon bucket, which I put in, I can't remember the name of it, I believe it begins with a V, but it is a yellow flesh watermelon. Yes, I said watermelon in August planting, because we don't get a winter here in South Florida, and that's one of the major benefits for us. And I'm also running out of space, so I'm starting to put stuff in the front lawn, and that's where that's going to go. I probably want to make it look a little prettier, but hey, for now, let's just leave it. I'll come up with an idea later. So let's head to the back. This here, just a couple of plants that I took out of the front and decided to put it in this bucket. I put it on a brick to raise it up. so that when you're in the kitchen, you can look out the window and have a nice little view of some greenery. It is South Florida, there should be some greenery. Here is a coconut palm tree, which we also got from Lowe's, and I got to figure out exactly where I'm going to put it. So it's still just been in its pot for a couple of months now, which is probably not so good for it, but she seems to be a trooper. She's surviving. So over here is where I had the bush sugar baby watermelon growing, and now there is one left. So I'm gonna leave that one, see what it does. And I see now the drip irrigation is running, but now in its spot I'm gonna grow cucumbers. So I've got the grapevine here. It has fully gone through, and we'll do some trim up. It's about ready to shed its leaves and get ready for next year. The blackberries doing just fine and coming along. Right here I have the vines from white sweet potato, and then over here we've got vines from purple sweet potato. Okay, now I do two things with these. One, I can break them off and have the slips in order to grow more purple and white sweet potatoes. Along with over here, we've got a vine from the traditional orange sweet potato. But I take and make slips from those, or go ahead and just cut them and stew them up with some onion and garlic and a few other seasonings, and it makes really good greens. I'll show you in a video sometime. So then we got the sugarcane, which is ready to come out now. I usually try to do around August, and the younger sugarcane that started up back in January, it's coming up quite nicely, so I'll probably end up doing 2 harvests this year. My banana plantation back here is coming along well, and if you look, we are in the flight path of the bees. They head straight out, and before they get over here to the roof of the house, they are well above the house and flying out. So that's how they go. Got a bunch of oregano down here, a couple of pepper plants that are growing. And as long as I don't stand directly in front of the hive with this group, I'm usually pretty good. That was my first worm farm, and it's still producing quite a bit of worms that I use to pass around. And here are 3 more racks of bananas, along with a 4th rack that is coming up and hanging over the side of the fence into my neighbor's yard. This is the second one this year, that actually the third, because this is the newest one. This is the second one that's hanging over, and probably can't see it so well, but it'll soon be ready. And there was a third over that way that I've already gone into the yard and harvested after it broke off. But if you look, I've got plenty more pups that are coming up. This one here, which looks like it would bear soon, but these are actual just pups, which will come about for next year. In total, I've got 8 plants for this year And so far I've counted 10 for next year. More sugarcane, but I'm gonna have to get this cleared out and get everything all cleaned up, because back here I need to be able to plant some things that need full sun, and all of this will cast way too much shade. Then we have the plantain tree right here, and it too has a whole bunch of churn that have grown up, its pups. And it's funny because I didn't think I was going to have plantains so early, and I thought maybe, okay, I'll get one tree for next year. And as a result of wishful thinking, I've got this one that has already come up quite well, plus that one, and there's two more around the back there. So I need to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. I know for a fact they'll probably want to keep two of them at least, and hopefully I'll find some people who want to take the other kids off of my hands. Almost like adoption, right? So right here I've got the fencing all set up. Once again, earlier this year I grew the yard-long beans, and that's what I did in spring. Now that we've got second spring, I'm going to go ahead and put in the Alabama black-eyed lima beans, which I actually loved. Again, this year go really, really well. The pepper plants kind of thinned out, but I've got what I consider to be the hottest. We've got the Carolina Reaper here. It's in its second year now. I've got the ghost pepper right here, and it's also in its second. But my problem was the comfrey plant here, which I don't make salves or anything from it. It grows extremely fast, but I've learned properties about comfrey that have allowed me to take the comfrey, cut it up, put it in a bucket of water for about a month, and then I use it as fertilizer here in the farm. Above that, I've got the vine here, or my little makeshift trellis that I made, and this is passion fruit. The strawberries died out, which is just fine because I'm going to need some place new to do this season's broccoli and cabbage and celery. For the spring, I did it on the east side of the house, but I think the east side of the house is where I'm going to end up doing, I don't know, maybe some melons or something like that, possibly putting around there more cucumbers. I got some seeds for some really long cucumbers that I want to try, and then we go from there. Back there, I've got two little blueberry bushes that I always seem to forget about until I go cleaning up the yard, and then I realize, oh, you've got a blueberry bush back there and it's got blueberries. So get that taken care of. I don't know, it's the back side of the planting. This palm tree here, and there are so many different types of palm trees, but this one here, don't ask me what it is. There's a lot of stuff back here. Don't ask me the specific names of them. I don't know. If I can't get a good enough photo and for Google identification to let me know, then I don't know either. But for some reason, and I haven't seen it anywhere else, it's got like this little burlap type skin on it that grows all the way up, And I've been using that as a starter for lighting the smoker, and sometimes it's the only fuel for my smoker when I'm dealing with the bees, or what I call the girls. So here are my poinsettias, and they're still doing well. This is be their third Christmas this year. So I'm really looking forward to that. They're getting some height. The ones that I had previously on the side of the pool there, I think they got too much sun, and this palm tree is kind of giving these enough shade. So I've got here a couple of yucca or cassava plants, which are the easiest thing in the world to propagate. You just break off a piece and stick it in the ground, and that's that. But I need to go in there and weed up around them. Problem with being in a subtropical climate is you not only get good growth for what you're trying to grow, but also it's good weather and good growth for the weeds, and you're constantly picking weeds. And if there's one thing that I hate, it's the picking of the weeds. So I went over to the Wally World one Saturday, and I found this little makeshift, well, it's not makeshift, it's a little greenhouse. And it was only like, I think $35, $36. Buying a couple of tomato plants that they were getting rid of, and they were kind of dying. But if you look, some of the leaves are starting to come back nicely, and this one has already put up tomatoes, so that's good. Going to get the world of tomatoes all set up here with my 8-foot high poles, so I can do my indeterminate tomatoes, and we can go from there. This is called Leaf of Life. Something that I got a little clipping of, and now it grows everywhere. If you look, these leaves, when they drop to the ground, that's what will root and grow a whole nother plant. It's amazing. Some lemongrass that's left. I've been doing a lot of Asian foods lately, so been hacking it up. But if you look again, this comfrey plant here is a piece of the one that's over here. I just trimmed this back severely, like down, left like 1/4 of it 2 weeks ago, and this is where we are now. So it's got to be cut back some more. Again, more of the passion fruit here. Of where we are and the high humidity, they normally would be self-pollinating due to just wind blowing against it, but here again with the high humidity, I actually have to go in and pollinate them in order for the fruit to produce. This was the pit for the all sweet, and it never happened. But what I'm realizing now is that I still had a bunch of sweet potatoes, which is why I try not to grow sweet potatoes in the ground anymore. I've got one last watermelon back there, which I'll harvest soon, and a second little baby there, which I'll take up, and that'll be that. We've got sweet potato vine that have kind of taken over where the ginger is, and here's more ginger, and there's the turmeric. So rosemary, it's kind of where I've put the herbs that don't need a whole lot of sun, because the passion fruit will really shade it out, but it looks pretty nice. Alright, so that's it. That is the entire farm, and hope you enjoyed this, and look forward to showing you what's going to happen throughout this second spring here in South Florida. So until the next time, love yourself, love those around you, means so much to both you, even though you may not realize it yet, and to the other folks who sometimes give you a weird look like, what he doing? Well, keep doing it, they'll realize, and then it's infectious and they'll pass it on too. All right, enough of that. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.